In this video, a comprehensive list of statistical terms and concepts will be covered. Basic statistical terminology used for data analysis include the descriptive statistics. We'll take a look at the definition of descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics are statistical method for summarizing and describing data, such as measures of central tendency, which include the mean, the median, and mode, and measures of variability, which is the range and standard deviation. Also, we take a look at the next definition, which is inferential statistics. Inferential statistics are statistical methods for making inferences about a population based on a sample of data, such as the hypothesis testing and confidence interval. The next, we are going to look at the definition of population. Population is the entire group of individuals or objects that one is interested in studying. The next is sample. Sample is a subset of the population that is selected for study. Next is parameter. Parameter can be defined as a numerical value that describes a characteristics of a population. Next is statistics. Statistics is a numerical value that describes the characteristics of a sample. The next we look at hypothesis, the definition of hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement about a population parameter that is being tested. There are the null hypotheses, which could be denoted or represented by H0, and also the alternative hypothesis, which can be denoted with H1. Also, we also take a clear definition of the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, respectively. Null hypothesis assumes that there is no difference or relationship between variables, whereas the alternative hypothesis assumes that there is a difference or relationship between variables. The next is one-tailed test. One-tailed test is a hypothesis test that tests for a difference or relationship in one direction only. The next is two-tailed test. Two-tailed test is a hypothesis test that tests for a difference or relationship in either directions. Next is significance level. Significance level is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true, typically set at 0.05 or 0.01 confidence interval. The next definition is the p-value. The p-value is the probability of obtaining a test statistics as extreme or more extreme than the observed value, assuming the null hypothesis is true. The next is a type 1 and type 2 error. So let's start with defining type 1 error. Type 1 error occurs when the null hypothesis is actually true but rejected, whereas the type 2 error occurs when the null hypothesis is actually false but accepted. The next definition is power. Power is the probability of correctly rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually false. The next definition is parametric test. Parametric test is a statistical test that assumes that data follow a normal distribution and meet other assumptions. Such parametric tests are the equal variances, we also take a look and define non-parametric tests. Non-parametric test is also a statistical test that do not assume that data follow a normal distribution or meet other assumptions. Such tests includes the Wilkerson rank sum test, and the Kruskal-Wallis test. Next is chi-square test. Chi-square test is a non-parametric test used to determine whether there is a significant association between two categorical variables. Next is independent samples. Independent samples are two samples that are not related to each other. Not related. We also take a look at the dependent samples. Dependent samples are two samples that are related to each other, such as paired data. The next is t-test. T-test is a parametric test used to compare the means of two independent or dependent samples. Next is analysis of variance, denoted by or popularly known as ANOVA. Analysis of variance is a parametric test used to compare the means of three or more independent samples. The next is regression analysis. Regression is a parametric test used to model the relationship between two or more variables. Next is correlation. Correlation is a parametric test used to measure the strength and direction of the relationship between two variables. Next is categorical data. Categorical data are data that classify or categorize some attributes. They may be coded as numbers, but the numbers have no real meaning. They are just labels. Categorical data can be further classified into two, which are the nominal data and ordinal data. Nominal data are data that have no default or natural order. Examples of nominal data include town of residence, color of car, then gender, which can be either male or female. We also define the ordinal data. Ordinal data are data that can be put in order, but do not have a numerical meaning beyond the order. Examples of ordinal data include questionnaire responses coded as 1 to mean strongly disagree, 2 to mean disagree, 3 to mean indifferent, 4 to mean agree, and 5 to mean strongly agree. And also level of pain in a joint rated on the scale from 0 to mean comfortable, to 10 to mean extremely painful. The next is the numerical data. So we are going to take a look at the definition of numerical data. Numerical data are data that are measured on a numerical scale. They can be further be classified into two types, which are interval data and ratio data. We will also take a look at the definition of interval and ratio data, respectively. So we'll start with interval data. Interval data are numerical data where the distances between numbers have meaning, but the zero has no real meaning. Examples of interval data include temperature measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Also, we take a look at ratio data. Ratio data are numerical data where the distances between data and the 0 point have real meaning. Examples of ratio data include the height, the weight, salary, and age. With all these definitions, we would have a better understanding when analyzing our data.